Hey everybody, welcome to Apple Vision Pro Spatial Sundays. I'm a little bit late this week due to the long holiday weekend. This week we'll dive into MapKit for Vision Pro. Over the weekend I saw this post. This is beautiful and people say Apple Vision Pro will change everything. I think it will help, but this is running on Unity and a Quest Pro. So this is the prototype he's talking about. Apple Vision Pro app concepts, ideas and rapid prototypes, tourism travel app with dioramas. Speaking of dioramas, if you want to learn how to build dioramas, just search Vision Pro diorama. You'll see the top 2 videos here. So if you want to learn how to build those, watch those 2 videos. Let's dive back into this prototype. You can see Bruno said, Dilmer, is there Apple frameworks like Swift capable of doing something similar to this video on the Vision Pro? I replied back to Bruno, using MapKit for SwiftUI, you could do a map background and use other SwiftUI elements to overlay the map. I will try to recreate what's shown here to show you the capabilities currently available for the Vision Pro. Bruno said, dude, I'd love to see that. So that's what we're gonna do this week. We're gonna build this using MapKit. Let's go ahead and show this tread though. Is this made in Swift, Unity, Lens Studio, or Bezel 3D? The author said it's made with Unity running on a Quest Pro. So that prototype was built for the Quest Pro using Unity. Let's actually build it using Xcode, SwiftUI, and MapKit. Before we dive into learning for Spatial Sunday, I'm also excited because this week I get to go to Cupertino for the Developer Lab for the Vision Pro. I'll be able to test my app and get an all-day, 8-hour experience with Apple experts developing on a Vision Pro. I'll try to bring that to you, but I'm not sure how much I will be able to share, but I'm super excited this week flying out and testing my app on the Vision Pro. So let's learn together and let's get spatial. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We have our Xcode beta open. We're gonna do a new project. Make sure you're on Vision Pro, an app. We're gonna press next. We're gonna call this app Tourism Travel Prototype and make sure it's gonna be windowed. And you can see it says dioramas. They actually don't have dioramas here, so we will just go with this. We're gonna use initial window. We're gonna do immersive space, none, and just do next. Go ahead and save it wherever you want. All right, so Xcode launches, and we gotta break down this prototype. It has a background where you can kind of look into that area, then it has some text over it, then it has this kind of mini window. Let's start with the background. So that's gonna be simply a MapKit view, and we're gonna use 3D, and we'll use pitch to make it look as if it's looking at a different area. So what we can do is, let's first look at Apple Maps, because we're using MapKit, it's the same information. So this is Apple Maps, and we could search for Iceland National Parks. And you can see it gives us Iceland. If we look here, that's this national park. So we can scroll into this guy here. And this is your 2D map, but MapKit allows you to do 3D. So I'm gonna select 3D here. And also I'm gonna click on this map icon and I don't want Explorer, I want satellite view. So that's better. Now let's scroll in. And you can see this picture looks like it's looking at this mountain. So like from this point. And we can actually copy that point by selecting this and doing copy coordinates. And then we could overlook this mountain. But to show you something different, I'm going to show you the steps to do this, but let's do it for an American national park. And then I want you to apply those skills to take this point and actually create the same type of scenario. So I could do a bunch of different parks. I could do Smoky Mountain National Park here, and I can zoom in and you can see there's some good stuff here. One thing I didn't talk about is the pitch, and we'll change this in code, is this part. With the pitch, it allows you to get these nice, very similar to this. You can vary how you look. So this is great. And you can find the area you want, and then like I said, you could right click, drop a pin, or drop a pin here, and then click on this and do copy coordinates, and you will be able to use those coordinates. I want to try, let's try the Grand Canyon. Yeah, Grand Canyon National Park. So it gives us here, but I want to pull out some. And we want to find one of these like nice little tracks. So you can see this is a popular destination. It has some nice views. And I think that'll work for us. See, if I do like that, it gives us a nice, very similar to that, but more realistic. So we can just kind of copy wherever we want. Let's say I copy, drop a pin here, and I copy these coordinates. Now that I have these coordinates, I can go ahead and create our map. So we're gonna make a map only, and then we'll do the map overlays here. So let's make a new file. I'll do Command End. It's gonna be a SwiftUI view. I'm gonna do next, and I'm gonna call it map only. For map only, I'm gonna do import MapKit. And those points that we took, we need to do an extension so we can have a place. And let's do extension CL location 2D. In brackets, we want to do static let plateau point equals to CL location this latitude longitude. I'm going to paste in that location, and I'm going to come back here and paste in that latitude. So now we have the location, but we don't have a map. To add a map in, pretty simple. Let's get rid of our text and just type in map. You can see there's our map. We want to use those points inside of here, and we're going to give it a state variable where it keeps track of the position. So I'm going to say at state here, and I'm going to say private var position, and I'm going to say map camera position is equal to, and we're going to do dot camera. We need a map camera inside of here, and I want this map camera. And just to keep stuff a little bit more readable, I'm going to move everything down on their separate lines. So what is the location we want to go to? Dot plateau point, the coordinates that we have up here. How far do we want to get? Let's start, I don't know, let's say 250. Now, I can do heading. Which direction am I looking? Let's start with 30. And that pitch, remember this point here. How is it going to look? Is it going to be straight down, or is it going to be kind of at an angle? Pitch, we want to set, and let's start out pretty high at 80. So now we have our position with our coordinates. We want to add it to our map. So we're just going to do position, and we're going to consume our state. So that is where we're at. This is a standard map. Doesn't look that great. We can change the map style. So that looks more like this. Just like we can change the map style here in Apple Maps to satellite, we can do the exact same thing in our MapKit. So we're gonna do dot map style, and just do dot, and you can look through the different ones. You got hybrid, imagery, which is just your satellite view, and you got standard. Standard is what we kind of have. So if we look at this background, it doesn't have road names in it, this one back here. So we're just gonna do imagery. Looks a little bit better, but it still looks flat. So what we wanna do is add in elevation. So we're gonna do elevation, and then if you do dot, the automatic is kind of flat. You can see flat is there. I'm gonna do realistic. Now look at that. Now that looks a lot better. That looks more like this back area. So there we go. We kind of have our map now of this nice area of the Grand Canyon. Now we can go and add on these other things like visit Iceland at the top, like this national park, this button, this weather. We can do all those things now, and we'll do that in our another view. All right, so let's go ahead and make another file. I can do right click new file or Command N. We're gonna do another SwiftUI view. I'm gonna do next. And let's call this Grand Canyon. Welcome. So to get started, let's just build out this back, and then we'll do the overlays. So right now, I'm gonna move this down, and we could just simply import a map only. Now we need to add in, for example, this top has a button here, and then it has visit Iceland. So we're gonna have button and visit Grand Canyon. So that looks like a H stack, which is a horizontal stack, right? And we're gonna have a button, and I'll just mouse down with an action and a label like that for now. And then in that H stack, after the button, we have some text. And that text says visit Grand Canyon. Now, if you look, I'm not seeing anything here. This map is taking up all of the space. What we can do is we can embed this in a Z stack. So I'm going to right click, do embed in Z stack. And if you don't know what something is in Swift, you can hold Option and select it. And you can see here the Z stack assigns each successful subview at a higher Z axis value than the one before it, meaning later subviews appear on top of earlier ones. So see how all this stuff looks like it's on top of that map? Using a Z stack, we can do that. Before we weren't seeing this H stack, but now if I put it below the map, look what happens. It now shows up above that. So we're getting somewhere. Next thing I want to do is work on this. Iceland looks a little bit bigger than that. So we could type in the code, or you can right click on this and do show SwiftUI. And here font, we're going to change this to, let's make it a title. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now for the button, up here, if we look really closely, it has kind of a chevron backwards. Where can we get all these? Like this has an icon, this has an icon, this weather is an icon. Apple actually gives you all of these icons. So let's first download that, and then we'll fix our button here. Then we'll align it, then we'll be kind of ready to go. So this is the website you want to go to, developer.apple.com/sf-symbols. And it gives you thousands of icons for you to use. You can see there's a bunch of stuff here. This is the beta version. Go ahead and click on download. Now that it's downloaded, let's go ahead and open it. And we can install it. And continue, agree. Install for all users, great, install. Here is all the symbols. Look at all that is here. Over 5,000 icons for you to kind of use. You can see what's new, multicolor, you got gaming, connectivity, you got transportation, you got home, human. All these icons are very simple for you. Simply by knowing the name of the icon, you can embed those inside of Swift. All right, so for this button, instead of having text in there, we're gonna do a label. And we'll do this one. Creates a label with a system icon image and title generated by local string text. I'm going to select that. This is just going to be back button. And for my system icon, I got to find kind of this. You could scroll through all of these different things, but I know it's a chevron. So I'm going to just do a search for chevron. And if we drop this down a little, you could see, looks like that one. It's just a chevron left. To simply get that in there, we're going to type that exactly as it shows up here. Chevron dot left. Now the chevron shows up. You could see it right here, but back button is still showing up. I don't want that to also show up. I'm just going to I'll do it for all of my H stacks, just in the case in the future I add more buttons. I'm just gonna come down here and do dot label style, and I only want the icons. So I'm gonna select dot icon only. This is the one that's currently is the default, shows both the title and the label. I just want the icon. So there we go. Now we have that chevron left and we have that title. Looks like there's a space in between it. So we could simply do a spacer. So that spacer is pushing it all the way to the right. Quick trick to do, make it centered. If I do a spacer on this side, so now you can see there's space in between this and space in between that. And if we come back and look at this a little bit better, that looks good. Now we want this at the top. So to align this H stack at the top, let's just do an offset. So what we can do is dot offset, and we're gonna use a lot of offsets here just where you can get used to it. And we want to move Y. Let's do -100. Let's see what that looks like. So that moved it up. Let's do 200. That's better. Let's do 300. 300 is too much, so 250, too much. So let's do 225, and that looks good to me. You can see over here, this is a little bit off that edge. So let's do our X as well. And X, let's do, I don't know, let's start with 25. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. So there we go. We got the top going. We got the button over here. We got that. Next, we got this little weather icon with the text here. And then we got this. And then we'll be done with this back portion. Then we just got to worry about this and that. So same thing here. We got our Z stack. Next parts, we got to put our weather icon and degrees. And then we got to put our title, which is Grand Canyon National Park, and a yellow open map button. So this is my challenge to you now. I showed you how to do this. How can you now use the same methods that I just showed you to add this and put it in this area, and then also add this with Grand Canyon National Park with a button and put it in this area? Let's just help you out by, you can click over here on weather. First we need to find that icon, right? So I gotta find this icon with kind of a sun. If you scroll down, it should be somewhere inside of here. Here you go, right here. This is the one filled in. Cloud.sun is the system image that you want to use. Then you simply have some text, and you need to make that text a little bit bigger. So that's my challenge, do that. For this down here, you got two texts, you have a button, and you gotta have another arrow. Looks like an arrow pointing left and up, so you gotta find that. Go ahead and pause the video and then try to get these extra pieces on here. So here is my solution. You can see it looks very similar to this. We have our icon at the top for the weather and the degrees. I have that right here. I also have Grand Canyon National Park. I also have open map. Very similar to what's kind of there, and you can kind of look around. And also, look, you can actually move around in this map. So very similar effect. So imagine being able to look around and view this, very similar to what's going on here. The last two things we got to do is take care of this tab view on the left side and this additional view in front of this view. So this is actually done. Now we can go ahead to creating our other views. So let's first start out by creating this little mini view here. And then we will pull it all together with this tab view, and we'll be done with this prototype. So again, we will start out, let's make a mini window. So I wanna kind of get organized. I'm gonna select these guys, and I'm gonna make a new group from selection, and my group will call views. And inside of this view, I'm gonna make a new view, make sure it's a SwiftUI view. I'm gonna press next, and let's call it mini window. So now we have this mini window, and it's pretty straightforward. You're gonna do the exact same thing. If you look at it up here, you have a button that says place, then you have two things and a button. So let's get you set up, and then I will give you your next challenge to build out this for a different location that'll overlay it. So with our mini window open, what do we want to do? Obviously you're gonna need your MapKit here. Also, you're gonna need, just a hint here, another coordinate for the map position. What else are you gonna need? Let's set up our window. Let's do a map, and I just wanna help you get it framed right. So it's a mini window, so let's just do a frame, and let's do a width, I don't know, let's try 200. And let's do a height, maybe 400. That one looks a little bit fatter, so let's change this to 275. Yeah, that works. Now let's work on this corner part of it. So I'm going to do dot corner radius, And so let's try 10. It's more than that. Let's try 20. That looks pretty good. Let's try 50. Let's just see. Okay, that looks better. That looks exactly like that. So here, I've helped you to set up this part. The next thing is your challenge. You gotta make it look like this. You exactly know how to do that because you just did it over here. So pause the video, and your next challenge is now find another point for you to focus on within the Grand Canyon. Number one, what you're gonna do, we're right here. Remember, we're using this map and we're actually looking like that area. So now you gotta find another view, because see how this looks on the left side? This is the mountain, but then they have a different view inside of here. So maybe you find a point over here. Maybe you come over here and try to find a house. So remember to play with your Apple map, because this is exactly what you're gonna see. Or maybe you just want some water. Maybe I come down here and I want this bridge, and then play with your pitch. Again, you can do all these different type of things. So this is your challenge. Find a different point for this mini window. Then you're gonna need to put a place button at the top. You're gonna need to put an image, 2 text, and another button here to make this look like that. Pause the video and start your challenge. So here is my example. You can see it looks very similar. It has the place button. It has the icon with the 2 text and the button next to it. I have place here. I have the icon. Hiking and trails. I put campground in this. So now that we have this, and I chose this because I think it's gonna look really good on top of kind of this over in this area. We have these 2 pieces. Now let's just put this thing together. So now in our content view, we can put this together. We don't really want this. We can delete that code that comes with us. And again, we're gonna do a Z stack. Inside the Z stack, we want to have the Grand Canyon first. Welcome. There goes that. And then after that, we want our mini window. So I'm going to do mini window. You can see how it looks. Obviously, we can do some offset to that. This is all about learning how to do offsets in this instance. So let's first do our X and Y. So I'm going to do X. Let's move it, I don't know, let's say 100. Needs to go a little bit more, say 150. Nope, 250. All right, that looks better. And the Y, I want to move it down a little bit. So let's say 50. Now, if you look over here, this looks like it's off the screen. If you look at mine, you can't really tell that it's off the screen. So we can do another offset for Z. So let's do an offset of Z of 50. And you can kind of see there it comes off the screen. And if we come back a little bit, it kind of looks like that. Maybe I want it more. Maybe I want it 100. That gives it a little bit more, which means I need to reduce this, 25. There we go. So we got the same type of thing happening here. We have our background, visit Grand Canyon. We have the exact same thing. The last piece of this is we need this tab view. So we want to have this tab view off to the side. Here, learn about VisionOS from WWDC. We're going to come down and here, meet SwiftUI for spatial computing. If you simply go to the code, you can see it has how do you do a tab view. Let's actually watch this part of the video.
And TabView expands to display more detail, like each tab's labels, just by looking at it. TabView is a prime example of how SwiftUI can take advantage of what makes the platform unique, like having your app's interface react to where you're looking.
This is the documentation for TabView, a view that switches between multiple child views using interactive user interface elements. You can see for VisionOS, it is currently in beta, but this is what we have to do. To create a user interface with tabs, place views inside the tab view, and apply the tab item modifier to the contents of each tab. So we need to first make a view, then we add the tab item, and then we have what we want it to look like. So if we look at our template, We got to see what tabs we need. When we come up close, right there, if I pause it, we have map, places, media, settings, and search. So let's make our views first. I'm just gonna, inside of here, do new. We're gonna make here, and I'm gonna call it tab map view. And for now, I'm just gonna leave it blank, and I'll do a couple more. Create a new one, tab places view. All right, now that we have all of our tab views built, we're simply going to reference them and do tab item and give it some information. So at the top, I'm just gonna do tab view, and let's just follow the format. And that way we get it right. Let's make sure we put these, we got map view, then we got places view, then we got media, then we got settings, then we got search. All right, so first, what is the view we're trying to do? So I'm gonna do tab map view, and then we go to the next line and I do dot tab item. And then here we would do label, and I want it with a title and a system image like that. So this one is map. Now the system image, look through here and try to find what that looks like. So if we come back, first one looks like a map. That's pretty straightforward. You go to maps, you could probably find it really fast. Here it is right here, or map.fill or a map. So this one is filled in, so we would do map.fill. So go ahead and add in your other ones. Pause the video and add in places, media, settings, and search. Make sure you look up the system image to match the images on the left side. So here you go. I have my tab view built out. You can see it looks very similar. I have the same icons, and also if you mouse over it, just like in the video, these show up. So now we have the exact same functionality. If I play this, see it looks exactly the same. This again was built on Unity for the Quest Pro as a prototype of what Vision Pro would look like. Here I'm showing you actually how to build it using SwiftUI for the Vision Pro, the exact same thing. Let's go ahead and test this inside of the simulator. So let's go ahead and press play. You can see it looks exactly the same. You can see that. I could look around in there and I could drag the map around, and that would be kind of a cool different tour. And over here I can also move inside of here. So this has been the tutorial to kind of show you exactly how to do this. You can see these also work, but none of these buttons actually work. So here's my challenge to you: is finish this app. Build out these different tab views. When you click on open map, it should open up this map view over here. When you click on campground here, you could link it to this media page. How could you finish this app out? We're gonna wrap it up now for this Spatial Sunday edition. Remember I told you when we started this out, I will show you all the skills to build this out, which we've done. And my final challenge to you is to try to build this out exactly as it is shown here in this thread, which means you would now need to go back to that location, and it was this location here. So if I'm looking from this direction, maybe. Final challenge, take all that you've learned today and now try to build an exact replica of this, or build a nice tourism app like this with two backgrounds for the area that you live in. Hope you had a great Spatial Sunday. See you next week. AR is going to change the world. Everyone can learn, so let's create a diverse group of Immersioneers. Learn more about VisionOS or Lightship by subscribing, liking, and sharing today.